We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel bans the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees from operating on its territory. US and other allies express concern. US says North Korea has entered Ukraine conflict by sending 10,000 troops to Russia. US decides not to impose new limits on Ukraine's use of arms. Anxiety grips the US as campaigning for the general elections enters the final week. Trump and Harris focus on pivotal battleground states that may decide the race for the White House. Big boost for India's healthcare sector. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch multiple projects on the occasion of 9th Ayurveda Day. Moving on to the details now, Israel passed a law on Monday banning the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency UNRWA from operating in the country. The lawmakers cited the involvement of some UNRWA staffers in the October 7, 2023 terrorist attack on southern Israel and for staffers having membership in Hamas and other armed groups. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, employs tens of thousands of workers and provides education, health and aid to millions of Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon and Syria. It has long had tense relations with Israel, but ties have deteriorated sharply since the start of the conflict in Gaza, and Israel has called repeatedly for UNRWA to be disbanded with its responsibilities transferred to other UN agencies. The UN said in August that 9 UNRWA staff may have been involved in the October 7th assault and had been fired. Israeli lawmaker Sharon Haskell said if UN is not willing to clean this organization from terrorism, then they have to take measures.
So this legislation is disconnecting the relationship between Israel and between this organization. They will not be able to facilitate their activities or their infrastructures or their headquarters in Israel. If the United Nations is not willing to clean this organization from terrorism, from Hamas activists, then we have to take measures to make sure that they cannot harm our people ever again.
Well, Israel has faced heavy international pressure to do more to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, though the ban does not refer to operations in the Palestinian territories or elsewhere. Before the legislation was passed, foreign ministers from France, Germany, Britain, Japan and South Korea, Canada and Australia issued a statement expressing grave concern. Well, the United States has warned Iran at the United Nations Security Council on Monday of severe consequences if it undertakes any further aggressive acts against Israel or U.S. personnel in the Middle East. The Security Council met after Israel struck missile factories and other sites in Iran before dawn on Saturday. It was a retaliation for Iran's October 1st attack on Israel with about 200 ballistic missiles. Iran's UN ambassador Amir Saeed Iravani accused Washington of being complicit through military support for its ally. Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon described Israel's strikes on Iran as measured and proportionate and said it would continue to defend itself. While U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, told the 15-member council that Washington encouraged the government of Israel to shape the operation as it did.
The United States did not participate in this military operation. Rather, we encouraged the government of Israel to shape the operation as it did. Again, a targeted, proportional, and direct response to degrade Iran's ability to threaten its neighbors, deter further attacks, and reduce the risk of further escalation. Today, the United States' message for Israel remains clear. We will always help secure its people and territory from Iran and its terrorist proxies and partners. Our message for Iran remains clear as well. Should it choose to undertake further aggressive acts against Israel or U.S. personnel in the region, there will be severe consequences. We will not hesitate to act in self-defense.
Well, Israeli Iron Dome defense system intercepted over 100 Hezbollah projectiles that were fired from Lebanon on Monday. White trails of smoke could be seen in the sky above the Israeli-Lebanese border as rockets flew overhead. An Israeli army spokesperson announced that approximately 115 projectiles fired by Hezbollah crossed from Lebanon into Israel. Meanwhile, Israel also continued to strike southern Lebanon. After nearly a year of exchanging fire across the border, Israel intensified its strikes on southern Lebanon and beyond over the last month. And moving on to Russia-Ukraine war now, a Russian-guided bomb devastated Kharkiv's iconic Gazprom building on Monday, a 1920s landmark and UNESCO-recognized site, injuring 6 people. This followed an earlier bombing that wounded 13 and a rocket strike in nearby Chuchoev, injuring 8. In central Kryvyi Rih, a Russian missile hit a residential building, killing 1 person and injuring at least 11, sparking condemnation from President Zelensky, who urged global action to end the violence. Meanwhile, a drone attack killed a medic in Kherson, where 3 people also died on Sunday. And U.S. President Joe Biden condemned North Korea's troop deployment to Russia on Monday, labeling it a very dangerous move. The statement followed the Pentagon's assurance that it would not impose new restrictions on Ukraine's use of U.S. weapons if North Korea joins the conflict. NATO confirmed that North Korean troops are stationed in Russia's Kursk region, with Secretary General Mark Rutte warning this alliance threatens both Euro-Atlantic and Indo-Pacific security. The Pentagon estimates 10,000 North Korean soldiers are in eastern Russia, some potentially preparing for combat. Russian President Putin cautioned that any U.S. support for Ukrainian strikes deep into Russia would be a red line. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Zelensky called the deployment an escalation as North Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Son-hui leaves for Russia amid troop dispatch. And as both Republican and Democratic presidential nominees Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are in tightrope walk just a week before the November 5th polls, they are trying to reach out to new sections and consolidate the old ones. Republican nominee Donald Trump on Monday reached out to faith-based leaders in New York. Members of the National Faith Advisory Summit, including Pastor Paula White-Cain, placed their hands on former U.S. President Donald Trump and they prayed for him one after the other. Later, Trump flew to Atlanta to address a rally. He issued a clarification on his rally in Madison Square Garden rally in New York that he's not a Nazi, he is not Hitler, he is opposite to them.
And yet they use that word freely, both words. They use it, he's Hitler. And then they say, he's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi. I don't know.
Well, Trump's clarification came in the wake of his remarks about Puerto Rico citizens living in the USA and other immigrants, even though they are legal. Many of his associates also made remarks that were called racist. Democratic nominee and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris said Trump was dividing the country.
I think last night Donald Trump's event in Madison Square Garden really highlighted a point that I've been making throughout this campaign. He is focused and actually fixated on his grievances, on himself, and on dividing our country. And it is not in any way something that will strengthen the American family, the American worker. It is nothing about what he is saying that is actually going to support the aspirations, the dreams, and the ambitions of the American people.
Well, Kamala Harris also addressed a rally in Michigan with factory workers of semiconductor. It's part of Make in America project. There she tried to woo the workers with better facilities if she comes to power. She also attacked Trump for his garbage remarks.
Just kind of diminishing who we are as America and talking down at people. Talking about, I don't know, that we're the garbage can of the world. We're not.
Well, the issue of abortion rights lies at the heart of the U.S. presidential elections. There is a separate amendment on abortion rights, which is up for vote across several states. Between the tussle of pro-choice and pro-life sides, the outcome of the vote is expected to shape the future of women's identity and reproductive rights. DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh reports for more.
These presidential elections are turning out to be one of the most polarized in recent American history. Alongside the vote for the White House, the vote on amendment over the sensitive issue of abortion is also there. The outcome could have significant physical, emotional and social ramification for women in particular and the society in general. One side, pro-choice, believes it is about the fundamental right of women over their own body. The other side, pro-life, says they are fighting for the rights of the unborn child. The amendment on abortion or Amendment 4 states that no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider.
It's been a contentious issue really for decades, since the 1980s and the 1990s. But I think what made it really come to the fore in this election was the repeal of the Roe versus Wade decision, Supreme Court decision, which had allowed abortion access all across the United States. When that decision was overturned by the Supreme Court, each state could decide for itself, and it threw the issue back into the public sphere.
As early voting continues across Florida and other states, voters appear divided over the issue of abortion.
My beliefs line up more with pro-life, and so I'm voting for what most people are not in agreement for, because I do believe that every life deserves to have a chance to speak for themselves.
I have, family members, mom, sisters, and they should have the right to be able to, choose.
Whether it's pro or against, it's going to be the voice of the people that come through.
Last week, Kamala Harris took a detour from the barnstorming the battleground states with stops in Texas, a conservative state that was first to implement a near-total abortion ban. Texas hasn't backed a Democratic president since 1976, and Republican Donald Trump is almost certain to win the state's 40 electoral college votes. But Democrats are betting it provided a powerful backdrop for Vice President Harris's vision for abortion rights in the final days before the November 5th elections. With camera person Jay Shankar, Shubhendu Ghosh's report, DD India, Miami, Florida.
Well, thousands of protesters gathered outside the Georgian parliament after the country's president and opposition parties called the protest against the result of a Saturday election. The four main opposition parties that won seats in parliament also said they did not recognize the results and that they would boycott the chamber. President Salom Zurabishvili had urged people to take to the streets after the results were announced. The country's government and Electoral Commission have said the vote was free and fair, while election observers have said that there were significant violations. Georgia's Prime Minister has hailed the election result, rejecting allegations of vote rigging and violence. And meanwhile, the U.S. State Department said the United States joined calls from election observers for a full investigation of all reports of election-related violations in Georgia. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that Washington does not have a final assessment of the results, but did not rule out further consequences if the Georgian government's direction does not change.
The Georgian people went to the polls on Saturday in an election environment shaped by the ruling party's policies, including misuse of public resources, vote buying, and voter intimidation. This contributed to an uneven playing field and undermined public and international trust in the possibility of a fair outcome. We join calls from international and local observers for a full investigation of all reports of election-related violations and urge respect for the fundamental freedoms of expression and peaceful assembly.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Ahead of Diwali, Delhi's air quality continues to be in the very poor category. We'll show you how India and the world dazzles for Diwali and unites communities in joy, peace and hope. And in sports, Indian women cricket team to take on New Zealand in the 3-match series decider.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, giving a boost to India's healthcare sector on the occasion of Dhanvantari Jayanti and 9th Ayurveda Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch, inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of multiple projects related to the health sector worth around 12,850 crore rupees at All India Institute of Ayurveda in the national capital. Prime Minister will launch expansion of health coverage to all senior citizens aged 70 years and above. Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of multiple healthcare institutions. Prime Minister will also inaugurate phase 2 of India's first All India Institute of Ayurveda. He will also lay the foundation stone of 5 nursing colleges in Madhya Pradesh. Prime Minister will launch the UWin portal, which will benefit pregnant women and infants by fully digitalizing the vaccination process. Step to strengthen the R&D and testing infrastructure to improve the healthcare ecosystem in the country. And in a major milestone for India's defence manufacturing sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with President of Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, inaugurated India's first private facility for producing C-295 military aircraft in Vadodara. This new facility is set to enhance India's defence capabilities and create an ecosystem for military aviation. Let's take a look at the specifics of C-295 program.
The inauguration of the C-295 military aircraft manufacturing facility in Vadodara marks India's private sector's entry into defence aircraft production. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had laid the foundation stone for the Vadodara final assembly line in October 2022. Under the project, India is set to acquire 56 of these versatile aircraft. 16 complete units are being delivered by Airbus directly from Spain, while the remaining 40 units will be made in India by Tata Advanced Systems Limited. The facility in Vadodara is a significant step forward, becoming India's first private final assembly line for a military aircraft. With Tata Advanced Systems leading the manufacturing process, the project will involve assembling, testing, qualification, and maintenance, establishing a full life cycle ecosystem for the C-295 aircraft in India. The benefits are further distributed across many companies in the defense spectrum. Bharat Electronics Limited, Bharat Dynamics Limited, and various MSMEs are also contributing to the program. The C-295 aircraft is a next-generation tactical airlift aircraft equipped to carry up to 9.5 tons of cargo and operate under all weather conditions. Its short takeoff and landing abilities make it highly adaptable even on unmatted surfaces, enabling quick deployment of troops and cargo for rapid response. The rupees 21,935 crore project between India and Airbus Spain aims to replace the aging Avro fleet in the Indian Air Force with the modern C-295MW aircraft. This aircraft will strengthen India's air transport and operational readiness, making a major advancement in India's journey towards self-reliance in defense manufacturing. With the Vadodara facility in place, India's defense manufacturing sector has taken a crucial step towards self-reliance as well as in the field of Make in India and Make for the World objectives. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, days before Diwali, Delhi's air quality continues to be in the very poor category, posing significant health risk to the residents. The National Green Tribunal has issued notices to the Delhi Police Commissioner and Traffic Commissioner to file a response detailing the actions taken to control vehicular pollution. It also observed that a transparent process should be followed to invoke different stages of the graded response action plan. Meanwhile, in response to the worsening air quality, the centre urged state governments on Saturday to intensify their crop residue management measures to reduce pollution from stubble burning, a major contributing factor to air pollution during this season. Well, India and the world light up for Diwali, a festival celebrating the triumph of light over darkness. From traditional rituals to global gatherings, Diwali unites communities in joy, peace and hope. Nancy Baloda brings us more on this.
Lights, lamps, laughter and hope. That's Diwali, a festival rooted in Indian tradition, yet celebrated by millions across borders and cultures. So why does this festival of lights resonate with so many? And what are the beautiful ways people bring Diwali to life? Diwali is more than just a celebration. It's a time when streets glow with the light of countless earthen lamps, fireworks light up the night sky, and families gather to celebrate love, peace and hope. Celebration of Diwali marks the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya after a 14-year exile. On a moonless night, the people of Ayodhya lit lamps to guide him back, a tradition kept alive today with rows of oil lamps symbolizing the victory of light over darkness and good over evil. Diwali is more than a one-day celebration. It unfolds over 5 days, each rich with unique rituals and significance. Dhanteras, the first day, sees families buying new household items or jewelry to invite prosperity. Choti Diwali, the second day, celebrates the triumph of good over evil, with people bathing early, decorating their homes and preparing sweets to share. The main day of Diwali is marked by lighting diyas, exchanging gifts and worshipping Goddess Lakshmi for health and happiness in the coming year. The fourth day, Govardhan Puja, celebrates the importance of respecting nature and appreciating its resources. Bhai Dooj concludes with a day dedicated to sibling bonds, as brothers and sisters exchange blessings and gifts in a spirit of love and unity. Diwali also has a deep spiritual meaning, celebrating the awakening of the inner light within each of us. People decorate their homes with rangolis, share sweets, exchange gifts and offer prayers to Goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, hoping for prosperity in the year ahead. Nancy Baloda's report for DD India.
Well, also US President Joe Biden marked the start of India's most important festival of the year, Diwali, by warmly praising Vice President Kamala Harris in the White House. The event marked the celebration in the White House, reflecting the festive spirit of Diwali. The celebration not only honored the traditions of Diwali, but also served as a reminder of the unity and strength found in diversity, reinforcing the White House's commitment to inclusivity and respect for all cultures. And on to some sports news now. With the series level at 1-1, Harmanpreet Kaur led India will take on New Zealand women in the third and final ODI in Ahmedabad on Sunday. Indian women started the three-match series on a high note as the host claimed the first ODI by 59 runs. However, the White Ferns clawed back into the series with a dominating 76-run victory in their second game. Both the sides will aim to put in their best performances and clinch the series by winning the deciding match. The Indian women will hope to replicate their showing from the first game and avoid any blunders. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now.